people? It's me. I'm back. Finally. I feel so fake doing all this. Let me tell you, that's not me. I try to think of interesting ways to introduce this video, but I can't. So, hi, it's me. I'm back. Finally, after a 4-week hiatus. Things have been crazy, especially with this coronavirus, COVID-19 situation going on. In between time, I moved. I'm no longer, we're no longer where we used to be. We're at another place now. The good thing is that we're landlords, so that's a plus side. But we actually moved because I am in school, so we had to change some things around until I get out. But anyways, welcome back to the Struggling Housewife YouTube channel. This page is very therapeutic for me. I feel like I can release a lot of things, and after I release them, I feel like I can let them go and move on. Today, I actually wanted to talk about a very serious topic for me that I have struggled with for, I guess, 22 years of my life. Is my struggle with friendships, especially female friendships. I have a really big struggle in that area of my life, and the past 6 months I have been doing a lot of reflecting, and I think that I know where things kind of went wrong and why I have such a hard time with female relationships. So growing up, first grade, of course, friendships are pretty innocent, right? They're like, hey, you want to be my friend? Yeah, I'll be your friend. Or I'm not your friend anymore, whatever the case is. It's that easy, that simple. As I got older, I realized that things weren't so simple anymore, especially after I moved from Chicago to Mississippi. When I was in Chicago, I went to it was a mixed culture. It was Polish people, Italians, Black people, Cubans. It was different type of people, just a lot of people. I think I had a friend, who was Black. I had a friend who was Hispanic. I had a friend who was Italian. It was just different friends. And I moved to Mississippi when I was about in the 5th grade. And I think that's when things took a tumble for me and things changed. I'm not trying to talk about Mississippi, but moving from Chicago to Mississippi is a drastic change. The people are different. The culture is different. I got there, I went to a predominantly Black school. And of course, being the new person, kids are kids, especially when they're 10 years old. You can't expect much from a 10-year-old kids. When I went there, I felt like I was, bullied. The thing that rings most to me is I was called Michael Jackson, and I just had no idea why these kids called me Michael Jackson. And I think about it now, is the fact that I always gave kids a reaction. So I think that they knew that if they picked on me, they would get a reaction. Kiana would explode, Kiana would make a scene, Kiana would do this, Kiana would do that. And I think that was the worst thing that I could have done. I also feel that with it being a predominantly Black school, that I don't think that I don't think that Black people or Black parents at the time were speaking a lot of life into their kids. Telling them how amazing they were. And I don't know, this is just my assumption. But, telling them how amazing they were. And, all kids bully. It's not just Black kids, but it was just the difference that I experienced. And I think it's important to speak life into your children and let them know that it's okay to speak life into other children, and to be a friend and not a bully. So that was a really hard time for me. So after I left the predominantly Black school, I actually transferred to a predominantly white school, and it was like so much of a difference for me. Like it was probably like 6 black kids in my classroom, and when I got there, like the white kids, it was like you could tell the difference. The white kids were like, "Oh, you're so pretty, you're so this," and it's not that I needed people to tell me that I was pretty. It was just that I needed like genuineness. How do you say genuineness? Genuineness. I needed people to be genuine. That's all. That's what I needed. And to be kind. I think as a kid, like I went through so much, like just moving from one place to another, and the circumstances that I moved or why I moved. It was hard just trying to make friends, and I think that I made friends there, and I was able to actually attach on more to those students at the predominantly white school. After I left 6th grade, it was time to go to middle school, because middle school there in Mississippi is like 7th grade. It was cool. I think it was like I still hung around with black kids, but I also hung around with white kids as well. Like it was just a mixture. I didn't care what color people were. I just wanted to have friends. So my 8th grade year, while I was in 7th grade, I ended up, making the dance team, and I ended up making a clique of friends. We were called the Glamour Chicks. I don't know if I should have said that, because the story I have after this, whatever. But we were called the Glamour Chicks, and it was probably like 6 of us. And one of my worst memories of having friends is we had like this October festival in the town, and it was me and another family member who actually went, and this family member is like 3 years older than me. And I don't know, she went to a different school than me. She was in high school, and I don't know if she had like some type of beef with these group of girls or this one girl. But I'm minding my own business, having a good time, whatever. Parents would usually, of course, drop their kids off and come back and pick them up later. But I was having a good time, and I guess the girl that she was into it with came over and kind of started picking. I guess she owed her some money or something, like from what I could remember. And I don't know what was said or whatever. I was minding my business. I just knew that the girl did something to me. I don't know what it was. I don't know if she hit me. I don't know. I can't remember now that I'm thinking about it. But I do remember I ended up throwing my slushie on her. So maybe that was my bad. But I'm not a person, at least I don't think I'm a person that just sits up there and throws the first lick. But I'm gonna take that back, because I don't know what I do out of anger. But she did something, whether she pushed me or whatever the case may be, and I ended up throwing my slushie and I walked away. So I threw my slushie, and then I guess her and 2 other girls, it was still me and this family member that were together, and then the other chicks that were with us, or that we kind of gathered around at some point, were there. I threw my slush, walked away, and then the girl's friend, who was actually with her, came behind me and just started hitting me in the back of my head. And so I remember vividly, I remember to the T what I had on. I had on some type of Nike shoes, some type of black Nike shoes. And I remember at the time, people didn't tie their shoestrings up. You know how you put them in your shoes. And I just remember she just hit me, and I was thinking I'm not about to go out like no punk. So I took my shoes off, and I just charged at this girl, and we just started going at it. we went at it, and then I guess the two other girls jumped in. And during this whole time, the whole fight, like, you know, I'm getting them off of me because if I could just be honest, I'm not no punk. Let me just say that. But anyways, nevertheless, it was 3 against 1. And at the end of it all, I don't remember any of my friends or the family member being there. Like, these 3 girls or these 2 other girls jumped in on this one-on-one fight. And I don't remember any of my friends being there. I was cut like with a razor blade, like down my chest. I remember bleeding. I had to like go to the hospital. They thought I was gonna have to get stitches, but I didn't. And from there on, like I got back to school, I think like that Monday, because this was on a Friday. So I got back to school on that Monday. None of the girls that I was with said anything. We just kind of went on about it. I didn't say anything to them. At this point, I think that this hard interior was starting to like mold up on me. Like, I have nobody to actually be there with me. And I'm an only child, like on my mom's side. Like, I grew up an only child. But it was like I have nobody to be there with me, or to even like have my back. And it's so funny because the family member, if she would get in a fight, like, I would be there for her. Like, I remember she had gotten in a fight once and she was actually losing. And at this point in time, I know it's not fair, but you know, hey, I jumped in and I actually helped her out. I was there for her. So, I mean, I don't want to make it seem like this is actually what happened, that these are bad friends or a bad family member, because I don't know what their perspective is. I don't know what was going through their mind. I do know that I can be a very black and white person and say like, hey, well, this happened, this is my story, this is my perspective, so this is what happened and this is how I'm going to move around it. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that that's not necessarily in all the way the truth. But to fast forward to my senior year in high school, so here's another story where I felt like it was just me by myself. My senior year in high school, I had a different family member who was a part of this clique that I was in, this different family member. I had a friend that I was just getting to know, or an acquaintance that I was just getting to know. We had been classmates for however many years. And then my family member actually brought her friend who had happened to be a gay male. We were going down to Biloxi, Mississippi to visit my other cousin, my family member's sister. We rode down there together. Everyone was having a great time. I think we went like to the mall, we went to the beach, and of course, you know, like gay men, especially being a teenager, they can be really extra. But during our time at the beach, this one day I remember we were all like out in the water, having fun, laughing, and I think the three girls, as we were getting ready to go, we were like, oh, let's play a prank on the guy. And we all took off running and we jumped in the car. My family member had to circle back around to go get him. I think he got in the back seat with me because the other young lady was in the front seat with my family member. I just remember like him, you know, talking crazy or whatever he was saying. And I would say for my part, instead of me realizing like this is who he is, he's just very, I guess the word would be flamboyant and very extra. I guess I took some of the things that he said personally and we started to get into it. And I don't know what happened, but I do remember that he pulled my hair, or something happened while we were in the car. He pulled my hair, and I do remember after that, I started hitting him with something that was in the car. And my family member made a comment and said, you know, stop, you guys are acting ghetto. And me being me, always feeling attacked, always feeling like somebody is against me, I made a comment towards her Not that she was acting ghetto. I said she was ghetto. Again, letting my anger had the best of me. So my family member pulls over. He gets out and goes in the front seat, and the other young lady gets in the back seat with me. And since all this has happened, like since I've been reflecting, I actually had this conversation with the family member, and I feel much better about the situation. But to get back to what I was saying, so we get back in the car, he's in the front, I'm in the back still, and we're still going at it, still talking mess, whatever, because we both put our hands on each other, so we had to separate. So we get back to the place where her sister lives, and by this time, he and I have said that we are going to scrap, basically, when we get out the car. So the car stops. It all happens all so fast. 1, 2, 3, boom, out the car, and we just start going at it. This is where I felt like no one had my back. My family member actually ran up the stairs. I wasn't thinking what she was doing at the time. And the friend that we were with actually just stood there. And I think she was like, y'all stop, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I get that. That's what she was doing. But at this point, you know, after we're done fighting, her sister comes downstairs. After we're done fighting, you know, we stop because now an adult is there. We all go upstairs, the day goes on, and eventually, like, I feel attacked now. So I'm like upstairs, like crying my eyes out, like upset, mad, not really understanding like why this guy was like picking or whatever the case may be. And like the three of them, my cousin, my older cousin, which is her sister, or the four of them, the female that we went to school with, and the gay guy, they all leave the apartment and go to the park that's there in the apartment complex together. And to me, in my eyes, this makes me feel like, wow, like, you know, sides have been chosen. Like, nobody came to ask me, like, was I okay? My family member at the time, actually, once we got done fighting, actually, I felt like she turned on me and got upset with me, or whatever the case may be. And I guess how do I say this? I guess my tolerance with him had ran out. This is really why the reason that we kind of was fighting is because I remember laying down one night and this dude like farted in my face. And we didn't even like know each other. So that was like the ultimate disrespect to me. We didn't even know each other. This all sounds so catty now that I'm like 27 and grown, but the things in your life that really impact you and shapes your the way you have relationships is really a big deal. But so that's kind of why I was upset and I kind of wasn't taking his stuff anymore, is because he was disrespectful towards me and that he just would talk to me crazy. I guess that he was upset that we had played the prank on him, but it wasn't like he felt attacked, so whatever. But yeah, they all four went to the park and I felt like sides had been chosen. The guy and I actually got into it later again that night, and like I ended up like throwing a vase, and it was all so crazy. I ended up calling my mom, telling my mom about the fight, and she was like, oh, she's coming to get me the next day or whatever. I told her, no, don't come. I think we actually had plans like that night, the three of us, the three girls. We were gonna go to a club because it was like 18 and up at the club, and we went, and still not even having the conversations, not even talking about it. We just kind of like, how do you talk? How do you articulate things at the age of 18? Like, you don't know how to articulate your feelings. You don't know how to look at different perspectives or whatever. So we all went out to the club and we actually kind of had a good time, but even then I just still felt like, and this might not be true, but I even then felt like my family member and the female friend were still like tight, and I was like this outsider still. Let me take a drink. I'm tired talking. The next day, my mom comes and picks me up, and of course I'm crying to my mom because my feelings are hurt. I feel attacked. I've just fought this like almost 200-pound man, or guy. He was at least 18, 19, so man, whatever. And for the longest, or for a while, quite some time, no, after that, I think I had called the family member, and I was like, because I felt like she was taking his side, because I'm a words of affirmation person. Nothing was said that made me feel like she had my back. Nothing was said that made me feel like it wasn't my fault. I felt attacked in the biggest way. So afterwards, after I left, I called her and I said, I don't know what I said, but I basically gave her the option that she needed to choose me or she needed to choose him, or we couldn't be friends anymore. Because if I can be honest with you, how I grew up or how I was raised is if somebody doesn't like, if one fight, all fights. That's basically it. And I felt like she wasn't doing that, so how could I call her a friend or a family member at that? So she actually ended up hanging up on me. So for quite some time, we did not speak. And I don't know what happened. I ended up like unfriending her on Facebook, probably blocking her, which is actually my memo. When I'm upset with somebody, is unfriending them, blocking them. But it took us probably we were seniors. So I know we became friends before graduation. So probably about even after graduation. I don't even know if we spoke after that, or maybe we did. I don't know. But nonetheless, we got back to being friends and being tight. But we never spoke of the subject again. We just kind of moved on with our friendship, kind of swept it under the rug. And I think ever since that took place, like my tolerance of being friends with people have been very low, because I always wanted to protect myself. I never wanted to put myself in that predicament again. It wasn't until recently, probably like 2 weeks ago, when I told her that I wanted to make a YouTube video and I was going to be talking about this specific subject. And I wanted to allow her to give her perspective and for me to give my perspective, and not to blame anyone. But she actually, told me like her perspective, and it made me think that, sometimes what we think isn't really what's going on sometimes. I know she said that when the guy and I started getting into it in the car, and she was like, "Stop y'all acting ghetto." And then I actually called her ghetto. I said, "You ghetto." She said that, she took that as an attack, which I can understand that, because if I felt attacked, my go-to is to attack right back, especially at that age. She also said that, she didn't think that when we parked that we were actually going to get out the car and fight. And so when we got out the car and fight, we were kids, and her idea was to go and get an adult. So she ran upstairs to get her sister, which I can understand that makes total sense. And she also said that she knew this, guy from, like, he was like family, like from a young age. They basically grew up together. And she also knew me from a young age, and we were tight, we were close. And she just felt like she was in a weird space to kind of choose a side, and she didn't want to be put in that predicament. And when I called her telling her to choose, she just kind of really didn't want to deal with it. And if I had to put myself in her shoes, I would probably feel the same way, if I can just be honest. But I don't think that stopped my feelings of feeling like I had to protect myself when it came to being around friends for me. I think when I went off to college, you know, there were cliques of girls who did invite me into their space to, like, you know, kind of hang out, be friends. But at this time, I was a freshman, and what happened had just happened about a few months ago. I was kind of still in this space of, I'm really not trying to make too many friends. I just don't want to be in a group of girls where I feel like someone has to choose and someone doesn't choose me. I did end up making a friend who was a year younger than me. We were sitting outside of the classroom waiting to go inside the class, and she was, I think she was like, "Oh, I like your hair." She gave me a compliment. And this sounds crazy if I really think about it. Like, do I start all my friendships like looking for a compliment? I don't I don't think that I start all my friendships looking for a compliment. I think that I kind of want to know people's motives, if I can be honest. So basically, like, I know if someone gives me a compliment, I guess that lets me know that there's maybe not as much jealousy, but people can say anything, but maybe not as much jealousy. And it opens a room for conversation to start. And then from there, it opens room for other things to start. And I guess that comes from like being triggered from being bullied, like in the 5th grade, because people made fun of me based off of my appearance. So I guess that's kind of where it comes from. But I made one friend in college, and I think her vibe was just very inviting, and that I just wanted to be her friend. She wasn't too demanding of a friend. Like, you know, whenever she kind of let me fall into the friendship. That's kind of what I like. And it just worked out, and we're still friends to this day. We're still good friends. And I say good friends because I don't know if I've ever called anyone my best friend since I was like little. I have my sister who I call my best friend, and I have that family member from spring break that I was telling you guys about, who I did call my best friend too as well. But I see other females walking around here, and they're just like, "Oh, this is my best friend this," and I just feel like, especially now being a married woman, like I just feel like my friendships have been, or my trust has been tarnished in different situations, that I don't know if I have the vulnerability to go out there and make new friends, or to give somebody the title of being my best friend. Because yet again, here it is, I'm a words of affirmation person, and if someone doesn't call me their best friend, I'm not really going to be like, "Oh yeah, that's my best friend," or whatever. I will say, since I moved here to Georgia, I actually had made 2 really good acquaintances through working at Hertz. And it was the first one that I made, she was actually pretty cool. She wasn't too pushy. She kind of, you know, didn't say too much. We kind of just had conversations and talked. It was friendly. And then there was another one who was just very critical of me and the things that I would do. She always had an opinion. And for me, I'm a person who, I do not like other people's opinions. Like, especially when they're forced opinions, right? Well, you should do this, you should do that, blah, 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 blah. I don't like that. If you're gonna love me, if you're gonna be my friend, love me without judgment. That's what I'm looking for. And I just felt like from this one specific girl when I moved here, I didn't get that love without judgment. And our friendship, acquaintanceship, or whatever it's called, it suffers because of that. And I tried to explain to her where my triggers are and where my vulnerability lies. And I don't know if she kind of really got an understanding of that. But nevertheless, I have actually opened myself back up again to make female friends, to have girlfriends. And it's scary, but I think I'm doing it for myself more so for other people. I need to love people for who they are. I need to allow other people's perspective to I need to listen to other people's perspective, basically, and give it a chance, because you can listen or you can hear them, but you're not really understanding or accepting their perspective. But the funny part is that all my friends are like pregnant or they moved away. I think the struggling housewife has been a platform for me to kind of connect with other women, because I love when other women send me messages, comment, and let me know like they're dealing with the same thing, because nobody's perfect. I don't know of anyone who like their friendships just all meshed and they were so easy at making friends. I don't know. Maybe there are people out there. And if there are, please give me some tips on how to be friends with people, because I have a hard time. I think that the fact that I didn't have strong female friendships is why I stuck so closely to always having a boyfriend. Because it's easier. Like, I have a friend and a boy. And while we don't talk about the same things, or oh my foot, sorry, talk about like, you know, the exact same things, we're different species or whatever, not species. While we don't talk about the same things as men or women, like I can still find friendship in a boyfriend. And now that I'm a mom, now that I'm a wife, I need something more for myself. I have to learn how to love with the good and the bad, as long as it's no abuse, as long as it's no lies. I guess that's just where my journey of struggling with friends is. So, like usual, I love to hear other people's stories, and I love to connect with other people. So if this is something that you struggle with, female friendships, please let me know your thoughts. Let me know how you gained your best friends. I know more best friend friendships are kind of gained while you're younger. But just reach out, talk to me, let me know. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, all that stuff, so we can continue to build a bond, because I love this YouTube platform and to be able to let out my thoughts. Until next time, love, peace, and so, bye guys.